There you go, Blake. You're ready. How you doing, bud?
All right, there we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Valbro and Austin Underground. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We got a loaded show. Coach Mike White, head football coach of Texas, is going to be joining us here momentarily. We're going to talk to him. Talk a little softball, baseball, recruiting, house settlement. We got a good one today. So as we wait for Coach White, guys, I actually want to start with softball. And number one, we're going to talk to him about this. This is his 15th straight Super Regional. Of course, they have Clemson on deck. Those games will start on Thursday. First one being at 8 p.m. on ESPN2. Friday, same time, same place. And then Saturday, if needed, will be to be determined. But they got it going on.
The round ball sports on the diamond right now are pretty exciting times for the Longhorns. Not only softball, but baseball. Jim Schlossnagle, the Texas baseball coach, named SEC Coach of the Year yesterday. Somewhat annoyingly for the Aggies, I'm sure, in that regard. But look, Texas starts the baseball tournament this weekend. That's going to be interesting as well because A&M has a winner-go-home game today against Mississippi State. Aggies lose to Mississippi State today. I don't think there's any way they make it into the NCAA tournament. The odds are stacked against them as is right now. And so when I look at this, I mean, the SEC tournament's going to be interesting. I don't know that Texas, guys, is going to push all the way in for this based on the comments that Schlossnagle made a couple days ago, in that he doesn't want to waste his arms before the tournament. But look at the games today: Alabama, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Florida, South Carolina, Mississippi State, which has been playing good baseball, by the way, the last few weeks, going up against A&M. Then the winner takes on Auburn on Wednesday. Texas awaits a Tennessee team, most likely at this point.
Question for the chat as far as predictions go, because it is a topic, and people on TexasFootball.com are asking who saw Michael early on Texags yesterday. Is he gone no matter what? Can he save his job? What does he have to do? Do you think he's gone? That's pretty interesting, because what if he goes on a little run, gets to the SEC tournament championship game, sneaks in the postseason? Do they fire him? It's going to be interesting.
I think so.
Would. I think so, because he hired for the wrong reasons.
He's staying. He ain't going anywhere. He's staying. I have a pretty good source at A&M, like a really good source at A&M, and I've been told that he is staying. He's not going anywhere, and to expect him there next year.
Dude, I talked about this early this year. Sometimes you know early, and it's time. And no offense, that's a pun, I guess, but sometimes you know early on coaches, and you need to cut bait as quickly as possible. My opinion is they should have cut bait long ago. So, Jerry, I hear you. What if they make a run? Well, that's what we were saying mid-season too, and then they lost 3 straight, 16th seeded Missouri that didn't win a single other conference game the whole year, other than sweeping Texas A&M. So I hear you, but I don't see it, if that makes sense.
And as y'all can see here, Texas with the 4th best odds to win the SEC baseball tournament. Arkansas number 1, LSU 2, Vandy 3, and then Texas and Tennessee both tied at 4th, followed by Georgia and Auburn to round out the best odds on that. A&M way down the list, Oklahoma way down the list.
Thursday's it's round ball day, right? It's you got baseball at 3:10 Central Time, right around there Thursday, and then softball at 8. So it's going to carry you baseball, little dinner right into softball against Clemson. So we'll be talking to Mike White whenever he gets here about all that. Interesting matchup against Clemson. Clemson has the 2nd best team ERA, earned run average. Now they don't play in the SEC of any team Texas has played this year. So it'll be interesting to see how Mike White kind of analyzes Clemson headed into this series.
For sure. Well, I tell you what, Bobby, before we move on and as we wait for Coach White, I'm going to go ahead and let you tell everyone this morning about Austin Underground.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite folks that is a Longhorn through and through, and that's Rick Vavro and his team over at Austin Underground. Since 2004, they've been creating commercial underground installations for the city of Austin in and around the area. A lot of that work you see being done downtown. The buildings going up, well, they got to have some work going on underground. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick Vavro and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. He also has a sister company called Texas Road. If you're looking for road development on a big ranch or in a subdivision, et cetera, Texas Road, as well as Austin Underground, both by longtime Longhorn, Rick Vavro. Thank you very much, Rick, for your continued support of On Texas Football.
All right.
Hey, I got to ask Bobby something. Everybody's wondering what your hotel choice is. What's your choice of hotel?
On a graduation weekend, I don't know if you guys realize this, but you don't actually have much choice. You just go with whatever's left. So I'm at a Homewood Suites today, me and my wife. Our daughter graduated yesterday morning, was commencement from the University of Pennsylvania. She graduated with an English degree, magna cum laude, I believe, and just extraordinarily proud of her. And we've been spending the last 2 days up here celebrating with her. And, I will say this, just full disclosure, I did not expect some of the feelings that I had to come through as much as they did yesterday. When you watch your daughter, she's been one of those students. I'll just say this, like, I haven't told her since the second grade, I haven't told her to do her homework. It's just like, she's one of those, really top-notch students. And so to watch her go through all that she did to get into these school, and do all of this, it was a real unbelievable moment for me and my wife, and just happy for her and all the graduates out there, wherever they went to school and however they got there. It's my first child actually also to graduate college. We have another son that's in school right now. But my point being, as a dad, it's one of those defining moments where, our look out world, here she comes, right? It's time for her to go do and be what she wants to be with life. And so it's a great feeling.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Hey, Bobby, if you wouldn't mind, what's the address to that hotel in case there's any people in the chat that want to come join the live stream?
I'm not doing that, man. My wife would freak out. I'm not doing that. But it sounds like, hey, Jerry, I got to be honest, from reading your report yesterday, I didn't have a chance to talk to you this morning. It sounds like Kyle Flood wasn't far from here yesterday with a new scholarship offer to a young man out of Philadelphia at the LaSalle Academy, a big offensive lineman.
Yeah, Grayson McKeon. He's I think we have some huddle tape on him, Blake. He's a kid that look, this is what we love about the Texas staff. Texas has a tremendous net of offensive linemen that are officially visiting Texas, right? But here's the reality. You don't stop evaluating players. I just saw a kid in Fort Myers last week that they are taking a look at. You don't stop evaluating players. And also, Texas doesn't recruit to the game of crystal balls and recruiting picks, because recruitments are in the balance until they're not. And so you better keep evaluating, and you better keep looking for the best players you can possibly find. And this is a kid that was 6'7", about 235, 245 a year ago. And he's now 6'7" and change, I think 7 1/4, and 280, 285. Oh, and by the way, Notre Dame and Penn State want him. They normally are pretty good on offensive line, as well as Boston College, Bobby. Those guys are generally pretty good on offensive linemen in the Northeast. They have a pretty high hit rate on these guys. And I actually love – now, Kyle Flood was up there with Lau and Clark. They went to see Luke Waffle yesterday, do an in-home visit, the 4-star plus edge out of the Hun School in Princeton, who I think will go to Texas or Penn State at the end of the day, barring a major change. But can keep evaluating, make sure that you're recruiting the very best players possible. And you know what? You don't know what's going to absolutely happen with some of these guys you're recruiting. You hope to win out for 3 more of those guys, but nothing's guaranteed in the NIL day and age. And the way the dominoes start falling, somebody might pick another school. But with all that said, you don't just go and offer a kid late in, and I say late in May, because official visits are 3 weeks away, if you don't think he's a really good player. And there's a possibility that Texas would bring this guy in late June, assuming he doesn't commit to Notre Dame or Penn State before that. I think he's got Notre Dame, Penn State, maybe even a Duke OV. Academics are very important in this recruitment, but this kid's this kid's a good player. He's talented. I mean, it kind of gives me Trevor Gooseby vibes in a way. Of Gooseby wasn't the top most highly ranked offensive lineman in that class, and he was more of a late developer like this kid. But then when you look at a kid like this and say, well, Notre Dame wants him and Penn State wants him, and then your Boston colleges in Wisconsin, your Upper East Coast and up Midwest schools like him a lot, then you say, all right, that's a pretty strong offer by Texas. And what it is thorough recruiting. To me, it's thorough. It's being thorough to make sure you sign the best 5 players you can, no matter where it takes you, because they love Malachi Lee in Hawaii. No guarantees they're going to get Malachi Lee.
Thoroughness this is what that's indicative of. So is the young man down in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Right. To your point, is you add to your list or to your net of folks out there as you go about it. And what's happened with Texas over really the last 3 or 4 years since Steve Sarkisian's been there is they literally just keep adding people that they think are good enough to do that. They don't go down a rung. Instead, they find people they think are elite. And as David Rawls put in the chat there, excellent feat for a young
yes.
football player. No doubt about that. That's kind of the hallmark or the strength, clearly, of him from a prospect perspective as well. Hey, Jerry, you mentioned Luke Waffle. That he's there. I noticed you put a high out on the board yesterday while I was at right after graduation. I checked the board, saw you put a high up on the board. What else is going on in recruiting right now?
Last week on the road for the staff is where we're at, because then you have elite camp late next week. But this is the last week on the road. AJ Milwee is going to see Diabell, also looking last run through the 27 quarterbacks he's going to see before they get kids to the campus. We'll see if they make another 27 quarterback offer coming up here around the elite camp. Like I said, Lau and Clark, I believe, was up in at the Hun School with Kyle Flood yesterday. Lamar Brown, the 5-star offensive/defensive lineman wants to be recruited as a defensive lineman from University Lab. He's now officially visiting June 6th. Lau and Clark is on him. So that is a guy who Kyle Flood went to see early on. Then the kid kind of shifted where he wanted his recruitment to go. Lau and Clark, obviously the BR connections there, Baton Rouge connections being from there, went to see him. They've got him lined up for June 6th OV. He has A&M and LSU after that. I think Miami the week before, Texas. So Texas is one, and I expect him to stay in the SEC, obviously. So not going to discount Miami totally, but I'll be surprised if he's not an SEC player. I put a little note on Tyler Atkinson on the board last night on TexasFootball.com. You can go comment on that, read a little bit more about that. Texas still in contact there. A source close said he's going to visit Texas again. I'm going to kind of wait and see on that. I think Georgia is the favorite, and Ohio State and Clemson. I think those are the schools. But could he show up at Texas again? Man, somebody very close to the recruitment sure thinks he might. So we'll wait to see on that. But look, Texas has been by there. They've been by it. Obviously, Braden Rouse, Xavier Griffin are making official visits. Texas is continuing to stay on these guys. Mark Orfeh on the road. I think him and Nansen we're seeing Devon Benjamin. Then he's going to go see Justice Fitzpatrick. Going to go see Samari Matthews again. Chad Scott. I think it's in Carthage to see KJ Edwards again this week. And we'll probably be out and about to see Crowell and some of those other guys. So they're kind of hitting some of these guys for a second time this week, their top targets. before ahead of the last time they get to talk to these guys, see these guys before the official visit process really gets underway for a lot of them. Now, some guys have already started taking the May OVs. Felix Ojo's taken 3 already. I think he's going to take 7 or 8 total, I think. So there's a lot going on. Last week on the road for the Texas staff, a lot of these guys are seeing guys for the second and final time before these June official visits, while also, in the case of Flood, in the case of a couple other coaches, they're also continuing to evaluate. Now, 27 offers are going out. Those are more trying to get kids on campus, get them to camp to really start that process with kids that haven't been before. So it's a big final week on the road for Texas. Because look, I've been saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. People are always like, hey, what's the board? And I'm always like, well, the board can change. These are final evaluations on guys. I mean, this is still, does this guy fit us better than this guy? Both talented players. Where are we truly at with this guy as opposed to where we may be at with somebody else? And does this kid a better fit for us? There's a lot of things, and evaluating these guys in person. These coaches are there with their video cameras. Y'all saw all the photos I posted on ontexasfootball.com from Fort Myers. I mean, whether it's Trey Scott, whether it's Kenny Baker, whether it's Kenodo Hudson, they all have the video cameras out, taping all of Kendall Gerville's reps. I mean, yes, he's a tremendous player. Yes, they love him, but those are all sent right back to Steve Sarkisian and recruiting office to watch.
All right, guys. It looks like our special guest is here. He's no stranger to coffee and football. Texas head softball coach Mike White. Coach, how are we doing this morning?
Doing great. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Congratulations on another great season. Was it 15 years in the Super Regionals for you?
Wow.
Congratulations, Coach. Now you get to host Clemson. Best 2 out of 3 gets to go on to the College Softball World Series. How are the women doing, and how are you feeling going into this matchup?
Oh, obviously we came off a good weekend where our offense was clicking and we had some really good pitching performances. Tegan Gavan throwing a shutout in our last game against UCF was a great performance by her and something we really needed. We're going to be playing a Clemson team that's pretty hot right now. They've scored a number of runs, won their regional, has some good pitching, very balanced attack. They're fast. They've got some kids with double-digit home runs, so could be a good matchup. But what I like most is the 8 o'clock start time. It's going to be a little bit cooler at night, and hopefully have our big crowds out there that'll be able to get out of the heat a little bit too.
The crowds might be well lubricated there. Let's put it that way. Over there at Austin. Coach, you talk about Kevin and what they did. Mia Scott, 300 hits. Reese Atwood. You guys have a lot of young ladies that are just killing it right now and have done so for a long period of time at Texas. What are your thoughts on this team and your strengths right now heading into this super regional matchup?
Yeah, it's great to see some of these young ladies come up with the accolades they've got. I mean, Reese Atwood set the program RBI record and still has a year left. I mean, so that's just amazing, and just what's ahead of her, and she can set all sorts of almost unreachable records, going forward if she continues to do what she's doing. But it's fun. I mean, they're energetic. I mean, they love to push the envelope a little bit with you, and that's the fun part about coaching them. So it's always good. But we feel good about where we're at right now. Obviously, we had a little bit of a down period there towards the end of the season that tested us, mentally more than anything else. And we've been able to put that behind us a little bit and understand this is a new season, going into the regionals and super regionals and hopefully College World Series. And it's what we do going forward that's going to matter the most to us program. And we've just been fortunate to have a great coaching staff. They've really been working hard with young ladies. And it's really about how much they want to go to this next step right now.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you because I thought when Vivi Martinez went down with injury, a second-team All-American, it was similar when Texas football lost C.J. Baxter before the season, right? Obviously, you lost a great player. And how did you did it take a while for your team to kind of everything to mesh around missing that great player? And how does a coach do you handle that with your team? Because when those injuries happen early in the season, as a coach, you have all season to kind of maybe change some things that you had on paper, change some of y'all's plans and thoughts. But the team itself. How did the team handle that? How did you guys as a staff handle that and have kind of the bounce back? Because again, this is an All-American level player that you lost before the season.
Yeah, exactly. And not only was she great physically talented, it's also a mental part of the game. She was kind of like a silent leader for us. She was one of the ones that she knows the game. She's very smart, very intuitive about where to be placed, in the right place at the right time. And just her calm demeanor was very, very good towards the team and helping us, staying calm in big situations. So losing her was tough, without a doubt. I mean, obviously she hit 3 for us last year, most of the season, and was a big part of the shortstop plan for us. And, with the recruiting cycle, we were in a light year, so to speak. We only had 20 players. And so to lose one, we were down to 19, and 5 of those are pitchers. So straight away you're light, so to speak. And so we were able to kind of mess with some different setups in the fall. And, going into the spring, we had Leanne Good there. But we just came to realization, and it was Coach Singleton really that kind of pushed this fact that, why are we making changes in 2 areas when we could really just make changes in one, put Leanne back to her natural position and just, go with Stewie at shortstop. But fortunately, she's been able to fill the gap for us and do the job that's been needed. Has it been, hit and miss sometimes? Yeah, it has. She hasn't always played perfectly there, but she's also made some great plays for us and has been able to pick up the slack, so to speak.
Hey, I a question for you, because all you guys, all the coaches at Texas are really tight, and you guys have a bond. And I wanted to ask you this: Coach Sloss coming in and winning the SEC year 1. How impressive is that to you as a coach who's been very successful at Oregon and Texas to come into Texas and win the SEC in year 1, being one of the guys that obviously you're friends with?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing there is that they pretty much got the same team, right? I mean, so that's just been a change in philosophy, and I think that really tells you that this game is it's a lot physical, obviously, but a lot of it's mental too. And so just that change of attitude from the players as well, thinking, hey, this is a new start, fresh start. I've got a new opportunity. I want to impress. So they've picked their game up just because of having a new coach and new philosophies out there. And that just reinforces to me, what kind of coach Sloss is. And, I haven't been with him coaching and seen how he coaches, but just from his background and his history, you can tell that he's a very good coach.
Coach, you going to tell us who's going to the mound for you on Thursday night? Are you gonna keep that under the hat? What's going on Thursday at 8:00?
Well, if you were coaching, who would you throw? But it is, it's a momentum. I mean, all the games are about momentum, and so you can look at it one or two ways. I've always thought that the second game is the big momentum one, and whoever wins that has a really good chance in that third, if necessary, game. But I think you always want to be one up on the opposition, without a doubt. I mean, you always want to have that first game, and last year we lost that first game to A&M. We were able to battle back in a really hard fought series, and anyone that was there will say that was a memorable experience, without a doubt. And we really had ups and downs, and a couple of times we were down to we were down 5 runs there at a couple of points in the series, in that if necessary games. And just the fight and the fortitude for our young ladies to battle back. Hopefully we don't need that this year. We'll come out right from the get-go and get up on the opposition. But Clemson's going to have a lot to say about that. They're young. They're a young team. They're very talented. So we know we've got some work cut out for us.
Coach, we actually have a viewer question for you, since we're talking about pitching here, from Grundle Bundle. What's the next piece in Tegan Cavan's toolkit to take her from really, really good to dominant?
Yeah, I think just getting a little more vertical lift on her rise ball and a little bit of control of it. I think that she is such a precise pitcher that she'll just miss by inches, and then having to work back from behind all the time. So just staying ahead of the hitters a little bit more, and then utilizing her locations a little bit better. I think we've seen over the weekend, she had a lot of ground ball outs by using her drop ball. And so she's getting more and more confidence in that, and then just controlling her changeup a little bit. So it's just really, to answer it in one thing, is control, just being a little more precise with her movements. She has the movement, the velocity, and the pitches to be able to beat most teams. So just that precision control.
I think there's the answer may be obvious, but I'm going to ask it anyways. The SEC this year, was this the toughest conference you've played in, been a part of? I mean, there what are 7 teams, maybe 8 in super regionals from the conference.
Yeah, I mean, there was 14. There was 15 teams, so 14 of the teams made the postseason. So almost one for every regional, which is phenomenal. I think that the competition in the Pac-12 at one stage was really tough, but not the number of teams.
Right.
So the depth week in and week out, just phenomenal. It's just crazy. But the good thing is, if you're watching a lot of these games, you're just seeing these young ladies make just outstanding plays. So I think the level of softball itself has really risen, across the board, not only in our conference, but other conferences as well. Heck, you saw that last weekend, right? A&M's out. I mean, I never thought that would happen. I didn't think LSU would lose out before they even got to the regional final. Those are 2 outstanding teams in the SEC that have been battle tested, yet other teams come in and knock them off.
One of the things I've noticed about women's softball, Coach, and I'd like you to speak to this, speed. I see a lot of speed on the base pass. Is that like a premium nowadays in women's softball, that to recruit speed as much as you do?
Yeah, I've always built my teams around speed, athleticism, not just necessarily left-handed speed, but also right-handed speed. Fortunately, we only really pinch run for like a couple of our players because we've really kind of recruited athleticism, so to speak, and have that. And it really helps. I mean, speed doesn't go into a slump. Of course, you can't steal first base either. So, it is, as my team will attest that, I do like it. I like that setup. I like that pressure. We have color codes for hitters. They're red, oranges or greens, and you want a lot of greens on your team.
Interesting. Coach,
I'm putting speed doesn't go into a slump in my phone notes right now. I'm going to steal that from you if you don't mind.
You can use another one too. What do you call a slapper that pops up?
What?
Pinch runner.
Oh, back to my phone. Hold on. So I've started asking this question of everybody. Because Vic Schaefer, he kind of brought it out one day. I was like, I'm asking everybody. Because after he beat South Carolina, it was a big win. He went to Capitol Grill. What's your go-to for a big win, Coach? What's your go-to?
Well, fortunately, we're in Austin. There's plenty, but Bob's Steakhouse is pretty good.
Okay.
I like big steak there. That works out pretty well for me.
Coach Bowman went Whataburger, which was really big in the chat.
You got to get a little more elaborate than that. Come on, man.
Coach, good luck to you on Thursday. You and the women taking on Clemson, 8:00. It will be televised on ESPN2, but we're hoping that there's a big home field advantage for the Longhorns and Coach Mike White. Coach, thank you so much, and congratulations on yet another trip to the Super Regionals. Hope you make it on to the College World Series as well.
Hey, I appreciate that. And don't forget, there's always standing room outside the fence there where those guys get pretty boisterous and rowdy, man. Let's go. Let's pack this place. Hook them.
That seems like the place for CJ Vogel.
Absolutely. All the parents are out there too, so you get in-depth analysis.
Welcome, Coach. Have a good one, man. Right. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Bob's Steakhouse. There we go, Jerry.
So that's good. We've had Capitol Grill, Whataburger, Bob's Steakhouse. We've got a few more coaches to ask, so we're building a list here.
Yeah, we'll do it. That's fun stuff. I
wanted to comment on his shoe game because he had some Nikes back there, but I knew he was short on time. We'll get to that next time.
Yeah, he's actually going out. We were told by the SID that he's headed out to practice almost immediately. So thank you for him and his time that he had for us. Blake, what do we have? I know we got to pay some bills here. What do we have next?
First, I wanted to read this comment real quick from Reese Brewer. He says, my wife and I had our first kid on the 14th, and he is ready to be a Longhorn. We're both listening to OTF. Hook 'em. Well, congratulations to you and your wife, Reese. Yeah, yesterday, Barbie, we had somebody whose wife was in labor. They were on the way to the hospital, and they were tuning in to Coffee and Football. You missed it.
It's probably the calming voice of Blake Monroe that got her through to pregnancy, all the way to the hospital after everything and after contractions had started. It was Blake Monroe's voice, that soft, subtle West Texas twang that keeps them all easy going.
Oh, man. All right, Jerry, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Ridge Wallet if you're ready.
I can do that. I read this yesterday. Bobby always holds his up. I don't know if he's got it with him right now, but
I do.
Look, Bobby, I know you have a lot of experience with the Ridge Wallet. Memorial Day weekends are meant for backyard barbecues and relaxing, but it can be hard to relax with a giant, chunky old wallet weighing your pants down. Ridge Wallet is the slim, sleek upgrade your pockets have been begging for many, many years. Look, we've all been there, hauling around a wallet that feels more like a cinder block than an accessory. It's bulky, it's awkward, it's not doing your lower back any favors. That's where Ridge Wallet comes in, and that's why Bobby's back's feeling good today as a Ridge Wallet. Ridge Wallets are ultra slim, effortlessly sleek, and surprisingly spacious. It holds up to 12 cards plus cash, all without turning your pockets into a lumpy mess. Slips right into your front pocket and practically disappears. And don't let that slim profile fool you. This thing is tough, crafted from premium materials like titanium and carbon fiber. It's built to handle whatever life throws at it. Plus, it comes with a built-in RFID blocking tech to keep your card info safe from digital pickpockets. Ridge is so confident in their quality, they offer a lifetime warranty, and it's literally the last wallet you'll ever have to buy. That's what that means, lifetime warranty. Right now, Ridge is having their huge Memorial Day sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/OnTexas, all caps. Just head to ridge.com/OnTexas, all caps to see their biggest sale of the year. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please tell them on Texas. That's it. That's all you have to say.
I will say, I've got to say this. This is a really, really good product.
They are.
Take advantage of that if you have it. And also, I will say this. It changed for me when now you don't need cash anymore. Like everything's kind of, very rarely do I have to carry more than $100 of cash. And so it's really simple.
And their key holder is awesome as well.
Yes.
Key organizer, I guess is what I should say. Very good product. You're right. All right, guys. One thing I wanted to bring up this morning, I'm going to put it up here on the screen. Ross Dellinger tweets out yesterday, in a stunning move, the power conferences have drafted a contract that would bind schools to new enforcement rules and require them to waive the right to sue over decisions. Y'all's thoughts?
It is another confluence of power trying to comb together. So the four major conferences being the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. So basically they sent, according to Ross and a couple other people now that are reporting on this, Ross broke the news. There is a draft proposal out there being circulated to athletic directors, school presidents, administrators, coaches, etc., that would essentially make it illegal for you to somehow circumvent the new rules that are expected to go into place partially by the House settlement. And then and some of this is being done at the state level, by the way. So the state of Tennessee has come out with rules that state basically no conference can tell them how they're going to conduct business, right? And I think that my point on that for you guys is that they're going to run. This is more of the NCAA and its membership trying to rein in college sports from an NIL perspective. And I do think that there's some merit to what they're trying to do. It's a very aggressive idea to give one CEO or commissioner the right to decide on eligibility and the viability of whether or not NIL is really true NIL or if it's something else. I think that's great. They're trying to figure out how to do it. And so some aggressive, forward-thinking ideas need to take place. But I will say they're trying to put the genie back in the bottle again, and it's just not going to work. So they need to come up with, I think this is it's a draft proposal for a reason. It's called a draft, not a final. But I think they're going to have to find a way, because what are you going to do? Kick Tennessee out of the SEC because they're not allowed to follow conference rules by state law? No, you're not going to do that. And so I think that there's some massaging that needs to happen in there, and we'll see what happens. And Tennessee won't be the last state. I mean, California is not going to be much different. They will side on the California, if it has a state law, will eventually side on the side of the student athletes, not of the university. So I think it's going to be hard and interesting at the same time. So we'll see how it goes.
Sorry, I had to remove myself. Has anybody ever walked? You have. Has it people when you walk into a spider web and then it makes you kind of? That's why I'm doing my itch. I just took them off the air to I got I don't know. It's been a rough morning. Let's keep going. An unexpected
spider web. A spider web. But Jerry, what do you think of the idea? One of the things that's come out of this House settlement is the idea that there's going to be a commissioner or a CEO of this new organization that they're drafting. Deloitte will be the arbiter, so to speak, of whether or not NIL is legal or illegal or what. But a CEO then would make the final decision on what that looks like and what the punishment would be. There have been names put out there like Nick Saban. Why? My thought process is, why is Nick Saban going to take a pay cut?
Oh, he came out.
ESPN.
You saw what he came out and said yesterday. No interest. He's not risking his legacy for this.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My thought process and my question here is, what one person is going to be the arbiter of this whole thing? And I don't know that it can be. They've got to figure some stuff out, but at least I think that this is an attempt by them to take some positive action, which I think is great. I just think they're still trying to reach too far, and that's going to be where they come up against the back end. They also want to be removed from litigation, so the conferences say, "Oh, you can't litigate against us too." That's going to be part of the draft proposal. I'm here to tell you that's good luck with that, man. Good luck with litigating that.
Yeah, look, my thoughts are pretty much the same on this. It's just a winding road we're going to eventually get to, right, Bobby? I mean, that's the thing with me. Yeah, the courts will be full of lawsuits. I mean that, look, we're headed. I think we're all headed to the same place. It's just how long is it going to take us to get there is the question. And look, obviously Ross Dellinger thinks the House settlement agreement may happen this week. He hinted at that. Where do we go from there? Right? That's going to be the question. Where do we go from there? Because now, Bobby, is what's going to happen when here's your salary cap, so to speak. Lawsuits are going to happen, right? I mean, that's what's coming after that. I mean, so we're headed to the same spot. Like Nick Saban came out and said, well, I don't necessarily think the players, the athletes should be employees. I still think that's where we're headed long term. I just don't know how long it's going to take us to get there. So it's the long, winding road. I believe the same thing I have. We're headed to 2 super conferences. That doesn't mean there won't be 4 conferences at play, but we're headed to 2 super conferences. They're going to have to put guardrails on this. I think where you need to go. One of the things that I have an issue with in all this is, look, I think the players should be paid. I also think then we have to come to real contracts with this, though. What happened with Baylor basketball, whether you like Baylor or not, is not the way we want college athletics to go long term. What the situation with Rob Wright, that's not where we want things to go with college athletics long term. So I think there needs to be contracts. I think there needs to be legitimate buyouts. I think we need to look at can you transfer every single year without penalty? I think there's a lot of things that we're some of a long winding road, but I think at the end of the day, we're likely gonna get to where these guys are employees, and these contracts are gonna have real meaning in terms of buyouts and such. And we just got it. My biggest issue is what happened with Rob Wright this year. And it didn't get a lot of news because of Nico stuff was happening. But that's not where we want to be with college athletics.
You mentioned the 2 big conferences, and super conferences. one of the things they want to do, and Cody Campbell, the mega donor at Texas Tech, has proffered this. He wants to create all conferences and put them all together into one super conference, essentially, that then would control all media rights. His thought process from a business standpoint is that the NFL, one of the reasons it makes so much money is they have a centrally located rights agreement with if you want NFL football, there's one place to go to get NFL football. If you're ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBC, etc., you go one place and they kind of then dish it out. Well, what happens in the NCAA ranks is they go independently to the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10, the ACC, to whatever conference, and they get different deals. That's literally what picked apart the Pac-12 at some level. The Big 12 got a deal on the table, and the Pac-12, there was nowhere else for them to go, and so it disintegrated. Campbell's idea is by having one centrally located group that controls all media rights for the entire country, college football will get, a multiple higher in television revenue. Is that true? Is the SEC and the Big Ten still going under that scenario make more money, or is it going to try to be spread out evenly like it is in the NFL? Well, Cody Campbell probably wants it to be spread out evenly.
Yes, he does.
Because he's at Texas Tech.
Yes,
okay, well that's not necessarily fair to Texas or Georgia or Ohio State or Notre Dame. And so how, the devil's in the details on all these things. And I think that that's part of the problem. Until athletic directors and commissioners and the NCAA are really willing to give the athletes a seat at the table and give them collective bargaining of some sort, doesn't have to be unionized per se, give them collective bargaining of some sort, I just feel like we're shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic, no matter what you talk about. So I think that until they do that, I don't see an end in sight of kind of the crazy, but we've got to follow it because I was reading an article today or this morning from Kirk Ferentz, the Iowa head football coach, long time. He goes, this is crazy. We're 2 months or 3 months from having our guys back on, full for fall camp. We don't know the rules of this season. Right. I mean, think about that. You're 3 months away. I mean, you don't know the rules right now. You're getting ready to Texas and Georgia and all these teams are getting ready to host official visitors. You don't even know the rules of NIL right now because it's hanging in the balance.
And to that point, Bobby, there's a lot of teams out there that have overpromised in NIL right now that are not going to be able to deliver if this House settlement goes through. And then there's some of the programs that are banking on this going through so they feel like they can compete. It's really interesting. Like I was talking to a college coach not in the SEC or Big Ten when I was on the road last week, and he was talking about how, look, everybody's talking about the major schools, even the major Power 4 schools. But he said there's schools in Power 4 conferences right now that if this House settlement doesn't go through and this $20 million a year doesn't come through, they know they can't compete, period. And they're hanging in the balance on what can they go do and what they can't do. And then you have some of the power schools who have absolutely led with NIL, and there's some big promises out there. And what happens if that number comes down? How are you going to deliver on that plus keep your current players? There's a lot to Kirk Ferentz's point, and it goes beyond that, but it's just interesting where the colleges are at in this just from that standpoint alone.
All right, it is time to get to some questions, some super chats. But before we start with those, I want to tell everyone about Huel today, because if you're constantly on the move or maybe you're just tired of skipping meals, Huel has you covered. Their Black Edition ready to drink is a total game changer. Got it right here in my hand. It's a complete meal in one bottle. 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, high fiber, low sugar. You're going to feel full, focused, and ready for your day. And the best part is there's no prep, there's no cleanup. You just grab it and go. Huel's already sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. New customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use promo code ONTexas. My mornings are very, very hectic, and that's where Huel Black Edition comes in. It's definitely my go-to. I just grab it out of the fridge, give it a good shake, and I'm ready to go. It saves me time. So you can start saving time and money without compromising your nutrition today with this exclusive offer for new customers. Again, that's 15% off plus a free gift when you use code ONTexas at Huel.com. It's a very nice gift as well. I use mine all the time. Again, Huel.com, Huel.com, promo code ONTexas. See the description for terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition, bottled. Okay, let's get to some super chats here. We'll start with this one from Sark Attack. Thank you, Sark Attack. And Sark Attack says Randy Brabant, 69-72 linebacker, is being inducted into the Cotton Bowl Hall of Fame this Friday at noon. Look.
Yep, Braband. Yeah,
Braband. Before my time.
Yeah, it was before my time too, but I know the name. Some former teammates of his, I know a few of them, always have spoken highly of him.
And then our next one from Longhorn Frenzy 1. Thank you, Longhorn Frenzy 1. We appreciate you as always. Jerry and Bobby, are there any kids from the Golden Triangle that the Texas staff is interested in, whether it be 26 or class of 27?
Yeah, so in 2027, there's an edge prospect I'm going down to find him that I know Texas has evaluated. Lylan Clark went through there. He is at Beaumont Westbrook, kind of an edge hybrid linebacker prospect in 2027 is one. I do know they went and looked at a couple of 2026s down that way, hadn't made offers yet. So it's more an evaluation mode. When I find the kid's name, it's Kalen Walker at Beaumont Westbrook. Kalen Walker, an edge player at Beaumont Westbrook. Texas Tech has offered him. I know Texas has taken a look at him. Won't be a shock if he doesn't show up at a camp in June, one of the elite camps in June for Texas. So he's the 2027 down there that's getting the most run right now in that area. There's a quarterback down there, Luke Babin at Woodville. Good player. I haven't heard that Texas is really in on him. So the edge at Westbrook is the main guy down there right now. But I'll say this, the Port Arthur Memorial has obviously Tank King in 2026 scheduled to officially visit, probably a Notre Dame lean. There's the corner Brock King that's been to Texas a couple of times. Texas hasn't scheduled for an OV. There's a really good running back at Memorial too, Amari Martin, but Texas hasn't really recruited him, but he's a Power 4 kid. And then Memorial has a couple of 2027s as well, a safety and a wide receiver. But it's really the Beaumont Westbrook kid right now that is garnering the most interest from Texas.
Hey, Jerry, what's happened to West Orange Stark? They just had so many guys for such a long period of time, and you haven't heard their name called in the last 5 to 10 years or so.
They've had some players come through there that maybe weren't as highly recruited. They've still had their D1 players trickling through, but they really haven't had that run where they had multiple guys that went to Texas, multiple guys that went to Oklahoma, Texas Tech, whatnot. They haven't really had that level kid year in, year out down there. And I'll also say this, there's less foot traffic. I was reading an article about I think it was in Illinois, a high school coach put out that said he'd had 6 college coaches through in the spring evaluation period. And at the same time, 3 years ago, he had 37. And I just think because of the portal, I think there's less foot traffic right now.
Especially hard to reach areas, too.
Especially hard to reach areas. I mean, when you can go to Atlanta, DFW, Houston, Dade, Broward County, some of the places I was at last weekend, just hit school after school after school and know everywhere you go, there's going to be 4 or 5 guys. But the portal, I think, has caused a lot of it. And I call it minor league baseball. So there's D1 kids, talent level kids that are having to start in D2 nowadays. And that wasn't the case 7-8 years ago. And high school coaches would tell you that too. It's just kind of where we're at in recruiting now with the portal. We just pretty much have a minor league to major league baseball system right now. D1 guys are starting out in D2 and having to work their way up. Go perform.
And then
Longhorn Frenzy, Stark has lost some kids at Little Cypress. There's some things going on down there too. Yes, and it's obviously Beaumont United basketball. They had a really talented offensive lineman, Weston Davis, that went to LSU a couple of years ago. There's talent down there. They just maybe don't have as many of those high level guys they once did.
Our next super chat comes from Jack. Thank you, Jack. He says, Jerry, I love all the huddle you show us, but I seldom know the level of competition. How do we discern the quality of opponents or opposition?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so a lot of it is when it comes to the Texas, Georgia, Florida, Texas or Georgia kids. If we show you a DFW kid, a Houston area kid, Atlanta area kid, those kids are going on the tape they're playing against. If they're at a higher level classification, they're playing against a lot of Division I kids on the field. Like when we show you Nick Brooks Grayson tape last year, they won state at Grayson, and there was probably 6-7 D1 players on the field that they played almost every Friday night. Not every Friday night, almost every Friday night. So, doing this for years, like when we show Braden Rouse video, or when we've shown Amari Latimer in the past and said, hey man, he's playing against really fast dudes in Atlanta. Those are real guys. Then those kids are Division I players and they have real speed. And that is one of the tougher things, Bobby. One of the interesting things to me that over the years is, it happened with Arch. Well, who did Arch play against? I'm like, who did Arch have? I mean, Arch had 1.5 D1 players on his team. He didn't, but the great players, like if you look at the running backs from the state of Texas, a lot of the great running backs from the state didn't play against the highest level of competition. But it just doesn't matter when you're really, really good. And because Billy Sims played Class B, right? Adrian Peterson played 3A football. You just go down the list, and a lot of those guys, David Overstreet, rest in peace, 1A football player, first round.
Jonathan Brooks. So it's a lot of it is the areas when we show, and I'll start talking more about that, Jack. I should probably do a better job of saying that right before the video comes off, because a lot of times I'll talk about, hey, the kids in Florida, they play on a lot more grass fields and sport turf fields, so factor that in. Those kids are faster than you think, but I should do a better job talking about the comp level when we get into some of these huddles.
And then we have a super chat from the Loin Girder, and he says, Jerry and Bobby, how much did Michael Griffin have to do with Texas going after Riley?
I think I don't know that he was a deciding factor, but he was definitely an advocate, if that makes sense. And CJ has done a really nice job. This is CJ Vogel I'm talking about, of chronicling Texas's approach with Yaheem Riley. Jerry and I talked about this, and CJ talked about it. When Riley made an unofficial visit to Texas, what was this, in mid-April, yeah. Jerry? Jerry literally called me at the end of that, and so did CJ, and said, I think this kid's getting ready to commit to Texas. And it was because he was locked in a 15 to 30 minute solo conversation with Dwayne Akina outside the facility, and Canota, and with Canota, and it was clear that there was a camaraderie, so to speak, that was developed. And sometimes Jerry and CJ have been on the beat for so long, they get a sense when something interesting is going on, so to speak. And so while I think Michael Griffin may have been an advocate, and maybe even helped Yaheem Riley think about Texas, I think Andrew Makuba may have had a little bit more to do with that, because you got to remember, even though Yaheem Riley's now at Austin Anderson, he came up through Austin LBJ.
And he also trains with the same guy.
Trains with the same guy, Bam, at Bam Performance that Makuba did.
Michael
and so
Taft.
Michael Taft and Jade Barron. And so there's some familiarity there as well with some success. But I think that the writing was on the wall with that for about a month. The question was, is Texas going to continue to go after him after that? And they clearly did, and they clearly like him. And I wrote an article, I guess it was, I don't think I've been on since I wrote it, Jerry, actually, on Saturday morning about Texas taking another darn 3-star. And I'm just here to tell you, like, when Steve Sarkisian and these guys go for a 3, I'm not concerned about it. And I know that it may or may not help their recruiting ranking as a team and all. I just don't care. I don't care. Like, there was a time when Texas was taking too many 3-stars, in my opinion. And it wasn't in the Steve Sarkisian era, but it was prior to that, where it felt like it was almost they had to. No, Texas is selecting these 3-stars that they're going after right now. Yaheem Riley was not a 3-star in Texas's viewpoint. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on board, in the middle of May at this point. And so I think what people need to understand, in my opinion, is there's a difference between guys that these coaches go out and you've learned to trust their ability to evaluate. I mean, and you try to get somebody early. I mean, I just think Texas right now is one of those schools where if it's a 3-star and you want them, they're probably pretty good. If Georgia wants a 3-star, they're probably pretty good. If Alabama wants a 3-star, they're probably pretty good. They're probably better than a 3-star, technically, I guess. I mean, Yaheem Riley, Texas, for example, took him. He's not only is he not ranked in the top 100 in the country by service, there's one service doesn't even have him in the top 100 in the state of Texas. Is that really where Texas, given how much out-of-state recruiting they're doing and how selective they're being, is that really indicative of where he should be ranked? Of course not. And I think I just want people and fans at Texas to understand that. I think we all do. I don't think it's some reach to ask people to do that, but I'm not a star chaser, and never will be, for exact reasons why a Yaheem Riley comes up through the ranks, or a Jonathan Brooks, or you name it, Gunnar Helm, Barron Sorrell, both drafted 3-stars this year. Tavondre Sweat, 3-star, wins Lombardi. I mean, come on.
Well, one thing I would say, with not that it wasn't happening prior, but one thing I can say 100% right now, with this new defensive back coaching room, if a kid visits Texas and isn't really good on the board, they aren't going after him.
So you think it's partially Texas is not looking just for skill set; they're looking for intelligence in the secondary right now.
Because when we talk, and maybe I've probably not done a good job illustrating that. When I talk about fit, there's different types of fits. There's the fit in your locker room. There's the fit, obviously, from that standpoint. There's also the fit when a guy's on the board. Like when they put a guy on the board and they ask him questions, how many of those questions can he answer, and then illustrate it? That's part of fit too, right? Because in the day and age of the portal, there's only so many guys you can take who really are not advanced in the game. How much time do those kids really have in the portal day and age at a place like Texas? There's a few, but with everything I'm hearing from this defensive back staff, if you aren't really good on the board, I'm not sure that's the guy they're going after. That's
fair. I love that. Actually, if you can be that discerning, there's a talent over everything. You have to have the talent to play at this level and beyond. Right. But if you can get the talent and the intelligence, the football IQ, and I'm not talking about book smarts now. I mean, that's not what Jerry and I are talking about. We're talking about playing the game smarts. You can make a D in English and an A in football, right? And so I think that that's interesting, so long as they have the requisite skills. And when you're at Texas right now, frankly, you can afford to be a little choosy.
Yeah, look, in Smooth, we have an Alabama fan that comes on here, and I want to bring this up because I've said this before. I thought that one of the best things, the toughest thing to do in college athletics when you're winning is to not just collect talent, but then continue to build your team. And I thought that's why Nick Saban, part of many reasons he was so successful from a recruiting standpoint, was everybody used to make fun of Alabama. Oh, well, Nick Saban's offered 350 kids. Yeah, because he wants 350 kids to come to campus so he can personally evaluate those guys and make decisions. He casted a net of guys, okay, athletically, frame-wise, these guys are obviously talented enough that Alabama, even at the height of their powers, we felt like these guys are good enough that we need to get them on campus and further evaluate them. So everybody used to look at the classes Alabama signed was like, man, they had 6 5-stars. Think about the 5 stars he turned down. He didn't take them all. Like he turned out, and I think that's the great thing about where Sark in this staff have Texas now. They're getting more guys to campus. The more guys you can get to campus, the better your evaluation becomes. Yeah, we see the tape on Huddle. We like him. We go out and see him in person. Has the frame we're looking for. Yep, coach is saying all the right things. Let's get him and his family to campus, see if that's a good fit, see if the football fit is there, and then make decisions on these kids. That's when I think you're operating at peak maximum in evaluation. And I do think that's where Texas is headed and getting there quickly. And I think that's a great place to be.
All right, we got time for a few more questions here this morning. But first, Bobby, will you let everyone know about Austin Underground one last time?
Yeah, absolutely. Austin Underground, since 2004, has specialized in difficult underground commercial installations. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick Vavro and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. Make sure you also check out Rick's other business, or one of his other businesses. That is Lone Star Bar out in Jonestown. If you're out near the lake, want to drop by for a cool one, check out Lone Star Bar over in Jonestown. That's where Rick likes to hang his hat every so often and hang out. Come join him for a cool one. Rick Vavro, thank you so much for your sponsorship of On Texas Football.
Thank you for that, Bobby. All right, guys, as I said, we got time for a few more. I'm going to start with this one from the Lotion Boy. And he says, what are you hearing on wide receiver Jabari Mack and Aaron Gregory? Are they flip targets, Jerry?
Both still have June 13th official visit scheduled. Chris Jackson's been to see both those guys. Jabari Mack's been on campus since he committed to LSU. Jabari Mack, look, he's only going to, right now, CJ was down there. He's only OVing to LSU in Texas. It'll be interesting to see which way that goes. Aaron Gregory, A&M commitment, Texas right there. May or may not have been on campus in the last couple of months. He's scheduled to be back for an official visit. I think both those guys are in play. Would I say Texas is going to get both those guys? I would not. I think when you're recruiting talented guys like that committed elsewhere, you're hoping to get one of those guys to flip. You'll take your chances. But the wide receiver official visit list that includes Caden Finley, Jalen Lott, Mack, Aaron Gregory, Mason James out of Norman North High School. So that official visitors list is set there right now. I think receiver recruiting potentially may play out into the season, as I think defensive line recruiting may potentially play out into the season, as it did last year, by the way. So shouldn't be a surprise. But Jabari Mack, Aaron Gregory, yes, they're in play for Texas, both scheduled to be in Austin June 13th. Aaron Gregory, unless he's changing his official visit schedule, scheduled to be at A&M on the 6th through 8th, then Texas on the 13th. Jabari Mack's at Texas on the 13th, LSU on the 20th.
I want to answer this one for Nathan real quick because he's asked a few times and I haven't been able to get to it. He says, Blake, can you give a rundown on the baseball portal? Does it open up this week? And what is Texas looking at doing? It actually opens up in a couple of weeks, Nathan. June 2nd. It'll run through July 1st. Texas, as far as what they're doing, they're going to be very active in it. I was told that as far as who could possibly be leaving. The House settlement has really thrown baseball into a frenzy. And so Texas I think baseball may be affected more than any sport, honestly, from that standpoint, because they don't know what's going on with it. So that's going to dictate a whole lot as far as roster retention, but I do expect them to be very active in the portal for sure.
Also, increasing the number of scholarships,
Yes,
to like full scholarships to an incredible number, like 30 plus from like 12. So baseball can be a benefactor in some ways, but to Blake's point, the House settlement might actually deter some other things. It's my understanding they had an unbelievable recruiting class, though, right?
correct.
Blake, number one ranked recruiting class nationally,
Yes,
et cetera.
And
so Sloss has that thing headed in a different direction.
And MLB draft coming up, which we'll see how that affects it. Correct, Blake?
Yeah. And I like the 2026 recruiting class ranked number one, LSU right behind them. I expect that to be the case for multiple years to come. But as Jerry said, MLB draft, I was told they do feel like they have a good shot to hold on to a couple of those guys that, are higher round graded guys. They do feel very well about that. But I do expect them to be done with high school recruiting for the class of 2026 for the foreseeable future. So there you go, Nathan. I hope that helps. And
Jay Lee super chat.
Yep, we do have a super chat from Jay Lee. He says, I asked this last night. Do you all have a favorite football player from a movie? Mine is Latimer from the program.
That's the one that was on steroids and went crazy. He certainly had that mentality. My favorite character, and it's actually based on a true story, was in one of my favorite movies, actually, back when I was young. It had a very big impression on me, was Brian's Song. And it was James Caan played Brian Piccolo, football player that was teammates with Gale Sayers that died, I think, of leukemia. I don't know why, but I watched that movie and was struck by it, and loved that from the kicker from The Replacements. There we go. That's a good one. Is that which one was Kathy Ireland? Is that the kicker?
That was mine.
that was Jerry. But the other one I would say that I really liked, and this is another thing when I was growing up, Burt Reynolds in The Longest Yard was pretty cool.
The original Longest Yard.
The original Longest Yard, yeah. But that's more my time frame, not y'all's. Latimer and all these other guys. Dwayne Johnson from Game Plan. Jamie Foxx from what was the Whole 9 Yards or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
How's nobody said Billy Bob from Varsity Blues? Come on, chat.
Yeah,
Well, Bobby Boucher is a great one. Bobby Boucher, Longhorn Frenzy. That, yes, necessary. But that's a tough one to beat.
I'm with Salty Q, so going to Friday Night the TV show though. Tim Riggins, that's one of my favorites, as well as Smash Williams from the show. So I don't know. There's a lot of them, a lot of good ones. A lot of good ones.
Given Sunday was the name of that. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. And one more super chat, guys. Antonio Harris says, Jerry, do you have a board of kids in schools? Military, sorry, gave me 5 concussions. I wish I had your memory. Thanks for everything, fellas.
I don't, but look, occasionally I'll go check a profile of a kid if I need to look at a younger kid from time to time. But sadly, I just seem to remember this stuff and don't remember anything else.
Oh, man. All right, guys. We'll do one more question here. Let's see. For those that missed Bobby's comment earlier, we'll end with this one. David Rawls, how many hides now, Jerry?
I have one out there, and I'm kind of close on another one. I think Texas is close on another one, but man, they're in the balance. It's a big one, but they still have to play out.
There you go. All right. Well, Bobby, what can folks expect later today right here on Texas Football?
Jerry and CJ may be talking a little bit about that high a little bit later today on the recruiting breakdown. We also have the Tuesday night live stream at 7 o'clock. Rod B is going to be on that along with Jeff Howe, I believe. And then we've got all kinds of news and notes coming. I don't know if y'all have been following the message boards. That's how I've been handling it while I've been busy the last several days. But a lot of news and notes. Jerry broke down the offensive line recruiting yesterday. Some more news today already this morning. Make sure you check out ontexasfootball.com to keep you up to date on a minute-by-minute basis kind of for the Longhorns. Again, that's ontexasfootball.com. Use promo code OTFOG if you're a first-time subscriber. You get $10 off the annual subscription. Use the code OTFOG if you're a first-time subscriber.
Look, yes, Jenny. Hold on. Rudy. I mean, yeah.
Remember the Titans is pretty good. Yeah.
Rudy's a good one, though. Rudy's a good one. That's
no, I didn't. There were parts that I didn't like about Rudy. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, Lee Jackson, former Longhorn, played on Friday Night Lights.
Living Rent Free had a great one. Julius on Remember the Titans was a great character for sure.
Academy Award. You mean Julius on Remember the Titans? Yeah.
Oh, here's the winner. It's Forrest Gump, the best kick return man of all time.
Oh man. Also, I was Googling Friday Night Lights, and apparently there is a Friday Night Lights reboot that is happening. The TV show that's going to be on Peacock, and it will come after. It's about I guess a hurricane hits a town and they're having to rebuild, and that's the gist of it. So there will be another Friday Night Lights. How about that?
Bobby Petronic has a great one. Johnny Utah, FBI agent Johnny Utah from Point Break. That's a good one too.
Y'all are unbelievable.
He got Bodie, then he let Bodie go.
Jefferson from Fast Times happened to win an Academy Award, I believe. By the way, not for Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but that's Forrest Whitaker.
Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Vavro and Austin Underground. We want to thank them, along with Huel and Ridge Wallet, for sponsoring today's show. As Bobby said, be sure to check us out over on ontexasfootball.com. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live or post content. And, of course, we will be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Hook 'em horns.